Right before we jump into this video, if you'd like to take better pictures in only 11 days, well, I created a free mini video course that you can sign up for right now at FroKnowsPhoto.com/11 days. Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is a review of the Panasonic 70-200 f4 Pro OIS lens for the L-mount Alliance. More specifically, it's for the Panasonic S1, which we did a real-world review of, and while we were there, I used this 70-200 f4. Now, you could download sample RAW files that I captured with this lens and the Panasonic S1 over on the website. The link is currently up on the screen. Now, you will be seeing test images a little later on from the horse farm. Not really called a horse farm, more like a horse stable, because that's where there's stables, and we photographed a trainer. So this is an f4. Why is an f4 called a pro lens? I don't know, but I will tell you that it says pro right there, so if you put pro on it, it makes it a pro, right? Like, kind of like if you put pro on my forehead, that makes me a pro photographer, doesn't it? As of recording this video, this is the only 70-200 that Panasonic has out for their S line of cameras, but don't forget that they are a part of that L-mount Alliance, which means there will be a lot more lenses, something like 40 lenses by 2021, and even a 70-200 2.8 from Sigma, right? Because Sigma's part of the L-mount Alliance, so you could expect to see one of those 2.8s. Now let's talk about the weight. This weighs in at 2.2 pounds or 985 grams for those of you who are keeping score at home. Now, it does have a lens collar on it. At 2.2 pounds, if you can't hold this lens, you probably, well, I need to be equal opportunity here. If you can't hold this lens for whatever reason, maybe it's medical, then you by all means should use a monopod, because that's why this is here, or a tripod. But if you are like me and you work out and have lots of muscles, not saying that you don't work out if you don't have muscles, then you don't need this ring. And what you could use it for later is if you're in bed and you kind of want, oh yeah, ooh, I'm gonna put that, oh boy. Paint me, Jack, paint me. It's kind of like maybe, oh, my hand's stuck. All right, you stay over there and get away from me. Anyway, you don't really need to use that in general shooting, in my opinion. Now, when I pick this up, I can feel that OIS element floating around. You hear that click? Yeah, I hear that. I don't know if that's going to affect your image at all. I did enjoy shooting with this lens because it is much lighter than a regular 70-200 2.8. It does have a 77mm filter thread, so if you're gonna go ahead and throw a filter on there, you're looking at getting the 77mm filter for this lens. Now, what I will point out is that many of you guys know from past reviews that I don't like what most of the camera manufacturers have done with the zoom ring. They've put it out where the focus ring is and moved the focus ring to where the zoom ring is and honestly should be. The focus ring should be up front and the zoom ring should be in the back. This has a very nice feeling zoom ring. It's easy to move. This does feel like it is a weather sealed lens, which it is. And the zoom range is very easy to go from 70 all the way up to 200. Now, one of the things I don't like with the Pro lenses so far that I've used, because there's technically two at the time of recording this, the 51.4, which we did a real world review of, or we did a review of as well, and this one. Now I'm in manual focus, and now I'm in autofocus. You know, you're gonna accidentally tweak this from time to time, and then you may go to shoot some photos and wonder why it's not focusing. That's because the switch was moved. I do not advocate guns. I'm not a big fan of guns, but anyway, this is OIS compatible, and it is capable of doing dual IS with the camera in conjunction, which will give you 6.5 stops of image stabilization, which is nice when you're using a telephoto lens. In terms of focusing speed, I track the horse running around the track, which you'll see those images in just a minute, and it focused extremely fast. Didn't miss shots. It did hunt a little bit finding the background, but that's more the camera than the lens. I was very happy with the results that I was getting out of this, though I personally love a 70-200 2.8. They don't have one as of yet, but I do want to talk about the motors that are inside of this lens. It does have the dual motor system. You have linear as well as stepping motors, and maybe that's why it's called a pro lens, because it has both of those things, whereas the 24-105 from Panasonic isn't called pro because it doesn't have those stepping motors and the dual motors. Maybe that's the reason. Now, what's the price? This is a $1,700 lens. Now, why is that funny? Why did I chuckle just a little bit? Because for 200 bucks less, you can get a Sigma 70-200 2.8. Not that it's gonna work on this body just yet, because they have not put out their L mount Alliance lenses, but they are coming. And will they be less expensive than this? Would you want to go with a 2.8, which is going to be a little bit heavier, or stick with the f4? Personally, I'm going 2.8 all day long because I love what a 2.8 gives me. More glass, better optics, in my opinion, faster focusing, generally speaking, just a more pro lens. We'll have to see what happens there, but let's sniff it and see what we come up with for the sniff test. Hay, hay, smells like hay, you know, from the farm, because we're out on the farm. Wind tunnel test? Nah, it didn't pass the wind tunnel test this time. But let's move in to the images so we can show you those results. Now here's the first shot. We're at 1/2000th of a second at f4. Doesn't really matter what shutter speed we're at, but I like the colors, I like the tones, I like the sharpness. Now, at 2.8, would this blow out more in the background in terms of the bokeh? Yes, it would, but it's an f4. So moving inside, I saw some detailed shot possibilities. This is of just an old pair of leather boots that were up on the side. And this gave me a good opportunity to close focus, zoom in as much as I can, fill the frame, and have out of focus stuff on the right-hand side to show you that when you get close to the subject, even at f4, you can still obliterate the background. Everything in the background looks super out of focus because that was the point. The shoes look super sharp. I like the colors. I like the tones that I was able to get out of the images. Would you like to speed up your raw workflow or give yourself a great starting point? Well, if so, we created 14 custom Lightroom presets that you can check out at FroKnowsPhoto.com/presets. Over there, you can play with the sliders, see the before, see the afters, and see if you like them. And if you do like them, they're on sale right now for 40% off. For example, here's a couple of images edited with FroPack 1. Moving on to this shot, what I wanted to do was get further back in the stable and zoom in on the horse and the trainer together instead of just using a 51.4. So with the 70-200, we were zoomed out to 200 millimeters here, compressing the image as much as possible. I love the tones that we pulled out of the raw file here, nice contrast. The blacks look good, the whites look good, and it's just a nice and tack sharp image. Now that's one of the benefits of shooting at f4. You have a little bit more leeway to make sure that your focus is going to be in versus 1.4 or 2.8. Again, nice color, and by color I really mean black and white. It's just vibrant. So I'm very happy that it was vibrant even with the f4. Now this is a color portrait. I didn't shoot any of people, but this is an animal portrait. We zoom in on the eyeball, really nice and sharp. Look at the reflection right there. Look at the brown of the eye. This looks really good. 1/100th of a second at f4, ISO 500. You can download this raw file over on the website as well, but that is a really nice looking portrait. I love 70-200s for portraits because you can zoom into 200 and it really helps get rid of that background. I do prefer 2.8 as I said, but on this shoot, it didn't really hold me back because most cameras are capable of high ISOs, even though I didn't push it at this point. Moving on to the next one, again, low angle from a distance. We're at, what are we at? 150 millimeters on this one. Just wanted to show the trainer cleaning the horse and capturing the dust and dander that's flying in the air. She looks nicely lit from the sunbeam that she's standing in, and the horse is a little on the darker side because it's split between the light and the dark, but it handled extremely well. Then stepping in a little closer, again at 156 millimeters, and just showing you what we get when we zoom in on her. She looks great. The eye is intact, sharp focus. The dust and dander that's flying looks good in the image, though I kind of don't want to breathe it in. And that wreaks havoc on your lenses because they can get dirty from that as well. Moving on to outside, this is where I tested out the focus speed of the horse running around the circle thing, whatever you call it. There's like a fence, and then some jumpy jumps, and then dirt. A horse run, maybe. Maybe they call it a horse run. I don't know. I haven't been on a farm or a horsey place very often. But it tracked very well in combination with the S1. It didn't really miss. Like I said earlier, there were times when I first started shooting some rapid fire shots where the focus would jump to the background on the first shot. The third shot was out of focus because it was closer. And then the rest of the 27 that I shot in a row hit. So the focus speed was very good. The colors and the tones are very nice. In this case, when we look at the background here, it is a little more prevalent at f4 than it would be at 2.8, or if I was able to get closer, but I wasn't because I was shooting from behind the fence. But the colors, the tones, the clarity, I'm very happy with the results that I got out of this lens. But the major question comes in the future is when the entire L-Mount Alliance, I don't know if I'm tired of saying that yet. No, never tired of saying that. I don't know if when those lenses come out, that will relegate these Panasonic native lenses to be more expensive. And if they're more expensive compared to the native Sigma lenses, would it even be worth it to go with the Panasonic? I guess only time is going to tell. But again, $1,700 for an f4 70-200, which is $200 more than a 2.8, is a little questionable. But if this is the camera that you have today and there's no other lenses out for it, well, this is really the only choice that you're gonna have for your 70-200. Great for portraits, great for sports, gonna be okay indoor as long as you have enough light to compensate for that f4. But other than that, I was happy with the results, and it better be for a $1,700 lens. Now, don't forget, you can download sample RAW files over on the website so that you can pixel peep to your heart's content to see what you think. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this video, and that is where I'm gonna leave it. Jared, Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.